Okay, so let's move to little bit understanding of the previous sutra. Let me clarify from my perspective and how these samadhis move into progress into one another. Whether it is a possibility, is it a possibility that we begin from savitarka, move into nirvitarka, move and meditating on the same object, we move into a vichara, savicārā, and then we move into nirvicārā. Yeah, okay. So that depends. First of all, you'll have to understand what is it that constitutes the first level of samadhi. It's an object-oriented samadhi. There has to be an object for meditation. Savitarka means when you are trying to focus on an object. So parallelly object, the knowledge of the object or the properties of the object and the knower of the object. All three are known separately, distinctly. When you focus on the thought that you are the knower, the other two streams become feeble. When you focus on the meaning, the objects becomes feeble. When you focus on the object, the meaning becomes feeble. That is how it happens. So when you're focusing on an object, the object is visible. You become focused on object because object is in the sense perception. So it's moving from sense to the mind field. And from the mind field to that ego or intellect, whatever you consider that to be, that is where your focus goes. So if your attention is on the object, you will not be able to take its meaning. There is a slight gap between looking at an object and then understanding what the object is. As I said, when I gave that example that when someone walks by, you first see that person and then that person is recognized by you. This is a two-step process. It's not happening in one go. And I gave that example that someone comes in front of you and you recognize he's a man, he's not a buffalo. First you see that. And then the next level of cognition happens. This person is known or not known, a friend or not friend or whatever. So these are the levels of knowledge or knowing when we are focusing on object. So our focus on object is first our attention towards what is perceived by our indriyas. Then what is it that Smriti has to offer about that particular object? That is the reason when nirvitarka is explained, the word Smriti Parishuddha has been used. Why? Because when you look at an object, the object perception happens and it is projected onto the mind. The knowledge of that object is already with you. There is nothing new. There is nothing new which you come to know apart from what you already know by looking at any object. Is it not? So, whatever information, whatever knowledge about that object you have, it is already in your smriti. The impressions falling upon your mind make that smriti to come to your mind, and then the recognition of that object happens. So the element of smriti is so very important. This much is clear. Then the third thing is that we are aware or cognizant of the process of knowing. We ourselves are also present in that field of knowing, is it not? Knowing is happening by me. I know. So when you focus on that aspect of knowing or the knower, you lose the other two streams. When you become focused on the object, you lose the smriti aspect of it. When you focus on the smriti aspect of it, you lose the object. Let me give an example. It will be much clearer. Someone comes, sits in front of you. That is a person, let's say. Person comes, you recognize this is the person. Now, initially, your focus was on the person. That means all the features of that person, because definitely recognizing the person would require my senses to perceive him properly. Correct? It is sense oriented recognition which is happening. So once you recognize, okay, I recognize it is Shailaja, let's say. Shailaja has come to meet me. So I met her. I recognize she is Shailaja. This recognition happens and you parallelly I recognize. It seems like that, but it is not. When I see a woman or a body, then I recognize a man body, woman body, the impression goes, and then the smriti, the recall happens from the memory field, and that information is presented at the level of mind. That is recall of a smriti of the associated with that particular object. That is the knowledge about that object. If Shailaja is not known to me, I will not get any other information than the physical features or whatever I am perceiving through my senses. That's it. No other knowledge can be obtained by simply looking, is it not? The more I know means the more I already know. The more knowledge about that object is available for me, that simply means I know about that already. It's coming, it's being presented in the mind field upon recognition of the object. Two steps. Now, the example I am giving here is, suppose after a while, I start to focus on, that means I put my attention on a particular incident from the memory, which is again the property or quality of that person, which has happened and is stored in my memory. Let's say it's an incident, it's an interesting incident, maybe a funny incident, and maybe I become aware of that more. So at that moment, what will happen? My sense perceptions will get numbed, and I will not notice what Shailaja has done during that time. I would rather be engrossed in the knowledge part. Have you all noticed that or not? Now you understand what I mean? Knowledge, perception, and the knower. And suppose you start perceiving yourself as a knower at that time, then you may lose track of the knowledge part also and the object perception part also. These three things are happening, but they are happening distinctly, separately, in ordinary sense. Mostly it happens simultaneously, but I gave you an extreme example to make it clearer that when our attention, but while you're meditating, it's not ordinary approach towards just recognizing a person. In my mind field, there is no other object present. That is what meditation is. That is what dharana is. That is what can lead to that absorption, which is known as samapatti or samadhi here. Understand? Which means only that person, nothing else, should be in my recognition first, or at least in the level of awareness. When I choose my awareness to be focused on that person first, only this much I see. You'll say, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Exactly the way Arjuna replies that I can see only the eye of that fish. Nothing else is visible to me. I can't see anything else. Or eye of the bird. Remember that story? When it was asked by the guru, by Pandavas or Kauravas guru, he was teaching them together in the same batch, in the same group. He asked this question in the testing of that. He said, there is a bird on a toy bird placed on a twig or on a branch of a tree, and then he asks, what do you see? And each and every one replies. So everyone's reply was different than what Arjuna's reply was. Arjuna's reply was, I can see the eye of the bird, or I can see the bird only, I can't see anything else. I don't see anything else. That means what? The focus is such that despite all object perceptions being present, I have control to not be aware of anything else than I try to focus on. That's the preliminary thing. That's the first thing. If you are not able to master even this much, forget about meditation, forget about dharana, which means whatever I want to focus on, I should see that much only. This gives a lot of control. It will be a digression, but it is needed for you to understand that it is a great help when we have such a control. It's a great help. It helps us immensely in the sense like we live in this world with a position of power and control. If I want to see something good in you, I will see that only. Nothing bad can present in my mind field then. You understand? And if I want to see bad, I will see that only. Nothing good about you can come. If I want to see both, both will come. That is what the control is all about. What do you want to see? That's the preliminary stage. So even when you are sitting in, let's say, in a cave, trying to focus on the flame of a deepam or a candle, you are still having so many things in your vision field. You have the deepam itself, you have the floor also, you have the shadow of the deepam also, you have the flame as well. Up to you. If somebody has to focus on the flame, that means only flame should be visible. Not even candle, not even deepam, not even the wick, not even the oil, not even the background. That is what it means. Which means that we must test ourselves. Are we really ready for such a meditation, or have we obtained that much control that we want to, whatever we want to see, we see that. And when we become engaged in seeing, you will not be able to hear, which means absorption is quite deeper. Did not understand? Okay, I'll give you an example and you'll understand. Suppose you're reading a very interesting book. And of course, when anything is interesting, it's but natural for us because we are curious people. We love to engage ourselves in the ups and downs which are presented in the language, the flowery language and whatnot. And suppose you're engaged in reading something very, very interesting, which is, of course, likable. I mean, it is in your list of interest, and you're reading such a thing, and so intently you are into reading that somebody calls you and you just don't hear. Has that happened to you? If that happens, it's the same thing. But there, it was something of interest, something which was dynamic. It's not static. Please recognize what we are calling here. Our call is to focus on a static object. Object is not changing. That's the requirement. We all love to flow along the stream of thoughts. Books or anything else provides us that kind of flow, and therefore we get absorbed. If that becomes a static, then only it can become the process, if that can become an object of meditation, or else you can't meditate on a book. You can't meditate on a novel. You can't meditate on Gita. You may like a book, but you can't say, I have meditated over this book. Why? Because it's a dynamic process, continues to flow, one thought after another. So all the three things are clear: the knower, the knowledge, and the object. Three things flowing together but distinctly separate. For any ordinary person, if the object is perceived, the knowledge goes dormant, the knower goes dormant. When the knowledge is focused on, the object goes dormant or kind of feeble. Perception becomes feeble, right? And the knower becomes feeble. But for a meditator, what happens? They kind of the first stage where all the three, the object, the knowledge, and the knower, they come together. Then the first real absorption of nirvicārā happens. Initially, what is the challenge? Initially, the challenge is to keep your attention focused on either of the three, no problem. Keep rotating among the three. The object is static, see the object, switch on to the meaning, no problem. Even if you become aware that I'm not so much aware about the knower, I'm not so much aware of the object, but don't deviate from that object is the first challenge. Understand what it means? That is savicārā samadhi. The three things run parallelly. That means it's a first level of highest concentration that is possible. I told you about the vision field. The same can happen with the sound also. The same can happen with any other thing. Some piece of sound, let's say omkar. Now you're aware of what? You're aware of the sound. And then you know it is omkar, the meaning, whatever meaning you associate with it. Whatever you know about omkara will also be known to you. So now you see, you focus on the sound, you forget what it means. You come to know what it means, you forget the sound. You come to know that I am perceiving the sound, you forget about the other two. That may continue, but you can't deviate from this triangle. If you are able to confine your awareness to this triangle, even if they are distinctly present themselves in your field of awareness, this is known as savicārā samadhi. This is the highest form of concentration which is possible. This is also liberating. How? Because you are liberated of everything else other than the object. So, if the idol of Krishna be the object of meditation, for example, then Krishna, the qualities of Krishna, and the knower of the Krishna as a knowledge, whatever you know about him, and the knower of the idol. The three should remain, fourth should not come. If this triangle is created, for that time, world is gone. Is it not freedom? Understand? When will it happen? We'll have to get back to Vairagya. When your vrittis are aklishta first, you're not in an agitated state, depressed state, angered state, nothing. You have to be in a very, very joyous state first. Second, you have to have kind of vairagya for at least temporarily for everything else. Is it not? Vashikara vairagya, that is why it is called Vashikara. For the time being, I am not interested in anything else. Like you become so much interested in completing a project of your office. You said, I'm not interested in anything else. Like that. Focusing on the idol of Krishna, meaning of Krishna, and the observer. This triangle is created. You stay in the middle of this triangle. When you stay in the middle of this triangle, you distinctly become aware of the three, one by one. But there comes a time, and what is that time? That time is when Smriti Parishuddhi happens. What is Smriti Parishuddhi? That is something which you should know. My Smriti gets purified. What is that Smriti gets purified? Did you ever question about it? What is Smriti Parishuddhi? Smriti Parishuddhi is, Acharya, suppose I ask you, pick up a rose, freshly bloomed, full of fragrance, pick up that rose and smell. And whole concentration should be on that. You can look at it and you smell it, whatever ways you have, you know about it. Now, Have you experienced it? You say, I have experienced. Each one of us must have done something like this with some or the other object, person, place, people, whatever. Have we done that? We have done that. Now, when the next time a rose is presented to you and you say that I know the smell, does that give you the sense of that smell as if it is happening right now? That is a Smriti Parishuddhi. 100% recall. This happens in the field of knowledge also. You come in these discourses, you learn so many things. Yeah, I understood. In that moment of understanding, you truly know that being angry is bad. You understood? In that moment, I'm sure when you get this and when you receive this, you will not get angry. For sure. For that moment, for a moment or two, you'll not get angry because you have the exact understanding of that word. I should not get angry. Everyone gets to that resolve. Everyone conforms to that resolve for quite some time. What happens then? Then this resolve gets to your memory. Okay? It becomes your knowledge. And what is Smriti Parishuddhi would mean? Whenever you recall this knowledge, it should feel as fresh as it was when you understood. That is called Smriti Parishuddhi. And when you're able to get back to that state of understanding that particular piece of knowledge, that knowledge is live, alive for you always, because your Smriti is purified now. Means nothing else contaminates it. How does it get contaminated? Only by one thought which you grasped in totality and agreed to it in all your senses. You agreed to it. Nobody made you agree. You yourself, your own logic, your own framework of understanding made it realize. It made you realize that this is something which I must do. Yes or no? Did anybody took you to the gunpoint that no, you should agree? No, you agreed to it. That means your framework, your logic, your everything, your state of mind, your receptivity, everything was coming together and you got that piece of knowledge. And that knowledge was immediately turned into an understanding. That understanding became so firm that on that moment, of course, you will not be able to deter from it. You will not be able to deviate from it for some moments, maybe. But what is this, Smriti? The moment you are done with it, it becomes a memory. Everything becomes a memory, is it not? So when it becomes a memory, it goes back. Now your own logic, other memories, other things pertaining to getting angry are going to contaminate it. You say, no, not all the time I can be choose to not be angry. Sometimes there is compulsion. You see, how can I not be angry? This understanding, which was so fresh, so alive, so transformative, so full of power, it had fire to change everything. It did change for some time. But as it goes down to your memory bank, all your logic, all other memories are starting to contaminate it. Your logic is also your memory, by the way. Please understand. Your logic is also your understanding. In a way, both way, vice versa. Understanding is logic and logic is understanding. That is memory. The memory is logic. When we refer to memory, whatever logic you have is in the memory only. So your logic, this memory, interferes with this fresh memory and contaminates it. So your memory got contaminated, corrupted. You did it, nobody else. So next time when you'll recall it, no, I should not get angry. It's not as fresh, as vibrant, as powerful, as full of fire, as full of transformation that it had in that moment. Your smriti got corrupted. Okay, so Smriti Parishuddhi means when I become rooted in that understanding, and that understanding is always fresh, always alive, always as if it is first hand, as if it is presented to me, it is as fresh as it was on the moment of agreement when you agreed to that understanding. That is the power of Smriti. But this is how it gets contaminated. So, over the period of time, when we again focus on this, let's say I'm deviating a little bit, you again focus on this thought, I should not get angry. Focus on it. Then, by focusing again and again and again, it will become fresh. Whenever you will recall it, it will be as fresh. So, in the need, whenever you need, when you recall that knowledge, recall that smriti, recall that vidya, it will be vidya for you. It will not just be a memory of a knowledge. It will not be just information. It will be that power of transformation which you have created by meditating on that or understand. Is it clear? So I deviated a little bit. I took away that object from it. I moved to a thought. However, let us go back to the original understanding as given by Patanjali. This is our understanding for all of us who are not as trained or as eager or as determined or as resolved or as disciplined as he expects us to be in the beginning of Yoga Sutras, where he says, Ath Yoga Anushasana. Now the discipline of. So we are all not that much disciplined, and therefore we should not think about yoga. We should not think about it. You should just understand. Let it be an information in your head. It will remain as that only. Don't expect anything else from it. It can never lead you to Samadhi. So continue to understand that. However, the real understanding can also be given by the words only, and I'm trying that. I am of opinion that it has been communicated what is clearly, what is the Vitarka Samadhi. Staying in the center of that triangle where there are three poles or three dots, which is one is the object, one is the meaning of the object, and the other one is the knower of the object. Knower of the object, knower of the knowledge. Three. So when I say you stand apart from this in the center, what does that mean? Definitely, let me tell you, the one who understands is intellect. We are not bringing it here. Intellect is not brought here. Actually, the ego is understanding. You stand separate from it. You understand that you have understood. You understand that, or you know that you have not understood. Both you know. So the things which are being presented to the ego, they are also parallelly being presented to you at Purusha level. Otherwise, who is the real knower? Through whose power the knowing is happening? Through your power. But initially, it will not be possible. You will be actually at the periphery only. And that's what it means. You will be at the level of one dot. You will perceive yourself as one dot in a triangle. Here there's as an knower. Here is the object. Here's the meaning of the object. Three dots. But as your smriti gets purified, the object, the meaning of the object and knower will start coming closer. And as close as possible when they come, this becomes Smriti Parishuddhi means now the word itself is sufficient. The knowledge itself is sufficient. Object is not needed. I gave this example. Now the word, the meaning and the smell itself is needed. The sense, that knowledge which you gained in your first interaction with the rose. I say the word rose and the rose appears as if it is there because you're only focusing on rose, nothing else. And when your smriti is purified smriti means devoid of all your perceptions, which can disturb it at that moment. Sometimes you say, "Na, I'm thinking about a very good subject or very good memory. Don't disturb me." Like that. Nothing comes in between. Then that is lived, relived. Now the object is not needed. So what happens? There remain two. Out of the three, only two remain. The object as if it has vanished. What is written there? Go back to that sutra again. As if it is written. Read the sutra again.
स्मृति परिशुद्धौ स्वरूप शून्येवार्थ मात्र निर्भासा निर्वितर्का.
Okay. Sūkṣma-viṣayā. Sūkṣma-viṣayā. The next word?
Arthamatra.
Arthamatra nirvāsa.
Nirvāsa.
Oh. It is again indicating as if the object is not there. As if. Please recognize this word. Eva. As if the object is not there. That means you don't need the object now. You only need the knowledge. You live in that knowledge of the object. An object is not needed. So there are only two. From the three, you have moved to the two. When you have moved to that two, it has become nirvicārā, because vitarka means object, as if it is objectless absorption. Nahi samjha? Okay, let me explain it again. Unless you understand this, the next will not be clear. For you to know a rose is to be presented in front of you, correct now? For you to know a rose or give you an experience of rose, the rose has to appear in front of you, correct or not? But when you look at the rose, actually you experience it from your smriti more than the rose. Yes or no? Otherwise, why will you say, I know this flower. I know what is the smell. I already know what rose is. Rose is only presented to actually give you that opportunity to recall that smriti of rose. That's right. If suppose I say you become capable of creating a rose without a rose, then you're already so powerful. You have already mastered that art of moving from the 3 to 2. Rose is not needed. When I say rose, you see a rose, nothing else, only a rose appears. As if you are first time experiencing rose in exclusion of everything. So tell me, when you develop this capacity, it's objectless awareness or not? Is it objectless? Yes, it is objectless. Vastu shunya. Vastu is not there. Knowledge is there. Right? And in many cases we do it. In many places we do it. But again, remember, the problem with those subjects, when we are able to do is the dynamism involved with it. And dynamism means our chittam, the mind field, is prone to many more ripples, and they do happen. They do happen. When you are living or reliving a very old, very sweet or very sour memory, it's just not that pain which you experience. The pain is either multiplied or it diminishes or it is further worsened or whatnot. New aspects of pain come in. Yes or no? In the same way, when you're looking at any good thing, remembering something good, recalling from the past, object is not there, but still you're experiencing it by recalling it in your memory. But because your smriti is not sure of what it should present to you, because it has been already contaminated, the experience is not the same. And that is what I have already explained in Art of Contemplation. That each time you call a smriti from your deep valleys of your memory bank, the smriti does not present exactly as it was. You either add, delete, subtract, whatnot, you enhance, you do many operations on that memory each time. The fragments of that memory, which means the memory is destroyed, contaminated. You have to undo all that in order to allow the chittam to present that memory as it was. And when that happens, you don't need a reminder of a physical object outside, you only need the just recall. So sometimes in intense moments or intense things which when we engage in, we make you will add your masala or mirch in it, some spices. You will definitely add your own spices in it. So the quality of that meditator or the person who is trying to focus on any of the objects, that capacity where he can or she can make the object appear irrespective of its presence or absence in front of his indriyas, he is much more advanced meditator. He has the capacity to easily get into nirvicārā samadhi. Is it clear now? So that means what? First is focus. Let's talk general. First step is focus. Second is good recall. We are all working on mind. Perfect recall. Flawless, perfect recall. Uncontaminated recall. Complete and total recall. So that is why when you are actually engaged in these practices of yoga as they are presented by Patanjali, you are bound to have that kind of memory, which Vivekananda displays or anybody of that caliber will display. Because they are working on their mind in a different fashion. This is their step-by-step approach. They are making it happen in absence of the object next time. So is it page by page they remember. They need not have the page to remind them what I read. They just need to go back to their memory and bring it in front. And then it presents itself without a word missing in it. They're like photographic memory. Nothing contaminates it. Why? Because you have worked as much as possible on those aspects which can contaminate, which do contaminate our chittam, the field of our chittam. Everybody understand? From savitarka to nirvitarka. Patanjali defines it that anyone who is trying to get into savitarka samadhi is actually engaged in the field of tattvas. When he says tattvas, he is actually not talking of the tattvas which we are seeing around. He is not talking of any idol. He is not talking of any rose. We have oversimplified it by saying so. When he says tattva, actually the savitarka samadhi is the recognition of tattva. When they present in front of you, what is it? By concentrating on different parts of your body, when that tattva appears in its essence form, tattva itself, tanmatra, only tattva, and that is presented as smell, taste, light, sound, etc. That's the presentation of tattva. And when you focus on that tattva, you focused on tattva, you reach to tanmatra. You began your journey with tattva, but you reach to tanmatra, the essence of it. When you reach the essence of it, you have moved to nirvicārā samadhi. When you're focusing on Prithvi, or which is the point of Prithvi in your body, your attention only on that point of the body, you're focusing on Prithvi. But when it presents itself in the form of tanmatra, then you have already moved away from the experience of your soft palate or third eye or heart chakra or throat or whatnot, or tip of tongue or tip of nose. You have moved to the experience of the object and self only in tanmatra state, because you will not need the tattva has presented itself in its essence. Where does that tattva live? Tattva lives in the body, in certain parts of body. You focus there. You don't allow your attention to waver. So focus on that part. That part will later on reveal the essence of it, which means the essence of nasikāgra, essence of soft palate, essence of throat, essence of tip of tongue, essence of the root of tongue, etc. The tattva will present itself. It will present itself in what form? It will present itself in the form of tanmatra, which is its essence. So when essence is presented, the object of meditation was any part of body is gone, only you and tanmatra remains, which means object has gone. Earlier you had an object. Object is your own body part, yes or no? Now you have moved from savicārā to nirvicārā. Now you continue to focus on that tanmatra. It will also vanish. It will merge in the mind field, in the ego. Why? Because tanmatras get generated from what? The essence of tanmatra is ego, which is the subject matter of chittam only, by the way. So you will land in the, now you see, when you say gandha, gandha means tanmatra. When I say a word gandha, you should be able to immediately recall that gandha. Is it not? Say gandha tanmatra is a word, is a vichara. As you utter this word gandha, or as you bring this thought of gandha, the gandha presents itself. Immediately, savicārā samadhi has happened. The vichara itself was capable of getting to the subtler experience of the tattva, which is tanmatra. I'm not talking of objects here. Let us move back to the basic 25 tattvas of Sankhya philosophy. Patanjali is not talking about rose and motor cars and idols of goddesses and gods. He's talking of the essence of the tattvas which constitute this reality. Therefore, his gross is actually tattva. His subtle is actually tanmatra. Okay. So for him, savitarka is gross. Focus on gross, which means tattvas, which means some object. To explore about any tattva, you need an object, like in your part of body, like any other object which any teacher can give you. To focus on anything else other than the part of body also. You can arrive at that tanmatra there also. Not that it manifests only by meditating upon a part of body. You can't receive the divine smell if you don't focus on the tip of nose. No, that's not the case. Tantra teachers will give you many more methods in which tattva can present itself. However, let's get back there. So when a vichar of gandha was there, a vichar, a word, gandha was there. The tanmatra gandha presents itself, which means now you have moved to subtle. You are not focusing on any object. You are focusing only the word, vichara of gandha. The vichara of gandha, or the idea of gandha, or thought of gandha, or the smell produces the smell, which means produces the essence of it. Essence of means the subtle experience of that self, that gandha itself, which is a tanmatra. Now continue to focus on this tanmatra. Tanmatra will merge back into the mind field. Its essence is ego. When ego will be experienced, see how it moves from this to this, the two become one, because now the mind field itself is the object of meditation, is it not? When ego comes as the essence of the vichara, the mind is meditating on mind. This produces lot of ananda. You understand? Now then it will move to next samadhi. From nirvicārā, because tanmatra vanished. The idea of gandha, which is a vichara, which is a shabda. When we say vichara or shabda, or it is a word. Word vanishes, object presents. Object is subtle, which gets back to its essence. Its essence is mind itself. Now mind is meditating on mind. This produces next level of samadhi, which is called sananda. Okay. Now there comes the last stage. Now mind meditating on mind, it has reached the mind field. I'm not saying ego. Now in this mind field, what is that we recognize with that self? The only knower can be seen because mind has become still. Tanmatra has also vanished. It has reached its source. So there is nothing to smell. There is nothing to cognize. Only the chittam is to be cognized in this state. Yes or no? So when you will reach asmita state, when you recognize this field of intellect here, what is the essence of mind? Essence of mind is intellect. The mind will meditate on mind. What will be the outcome of it? What will be the essence of it? It is that intellect which comes in front. The essence of mind is intellect. That's the subtlest part of mind is what? Intellect. There stops every meditation. Last time we were discussing in Sondarya or somewhere else, I did give you this. Try to meditate on your mind, it is possible. Try to meditate on your ego, it is possible. Try to meditate on your intellect, not possible. See, there you will stop. Even conceptually, you will not be able to meditate. You understood? It is not possible for the ordinary. It is only possible by way of experience. So in this way, and again, let me tell you, here one thing you should also be clear. When you come to know of higher samadhis, and these are all sampragya samadhis, you understand? Ananda, Asmita. Ananda and Asmita are also termed as Vishoka and Jyotishmati. Actually, Vishoka means Ananda. Sananda Samadhi is Vishoka. And Asmita is that which is ego, or which is that intellect, which is actually Prakash. What is the knower in your being? The knower is your intellect. It is not ego which knows. In this gross field, in the Jada field, in this dead matter field, mind is dead matter, correct? It's a tool. So intelligence is also that dead, right? Dead. Correct? It's a dead thing. It's not conscious. It becomes conscious by infusion of consciousness in it. It's not Chetan. Intelligence works only when there is a Purusha behind it. So here, Jyotishmati means the one which puts everything into light, which means which makes things known. The Prakasha aspect, the light aspect, which means you become full of light. You become light itself. You become the light itself means you become the intellect itself. When you become intellect itself, it is Jyotishmati. Huh? And when you become identified with the ego, which is the higher than the mind, then you're Ananda, which is Vishoka. So falling on to object, going back to its essence, moving to its subtle essence, moving back to mind, from mind to ego to intellect. These are all levels of samadhis, 4 levels of samadhi, which Patanjali has discussed. And now probably you've understood what nirvicārā is. Nirvicārā begins with the subtle object. When we say subtle, it means only tanmatras, not tattvas. Tattvas are gross, tanmatras are subtle. Tattvas are experienced separate from the mind. Tanmatra is experienced within the mind. So this is how you should explain it to yourself. Thank you so much. Let's close it. We'll take up next sutra next time. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kasyid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shiva.